I don't know why it's come up as valued customer. I've actually got I've got an account with Zoom.
I think it's fantastic. I mean, that should be your new podcast, Valued Customer Podcast.
Perfect. Here to serve you.
Yeah, you do reviews of just random products, you know, like
I do reviews of customer service.
Yeah, of course. Perfect. Reviews of customer service is the way to go with that one.
Nice.
I'm going to keep all of that anyway, but I'm going to do a little intro so people, know who you are. I'm sure if they're tuning in, they know who you are. But welcome to the RRBG podcast. I'm here with Kin of 12 Foot Ninja. Thank you for joining me from the other side of the planet right now.
Thanks for having me, man.
Are you in Australia right now?
I am in Australia right now. Yes.
Good Lord.
In the future.
How is it over? How is it in the future? Are you guys driving flying cars yet?
Not yet. We're trialing spandex as a mainstay of fashion. Silver spandex. So
fantastic.
Hopefully that works.
I've been training for it. I got this sheath underwear shirt that they sent me. It feels like it's made from spandex.
Ooh.
It's like stuck to me. Look at this thing. It's
very nice.
Stretchy. Yeah. I don't typically go out in public with stretchy clothes. I'm too fat for that information to provide people with that view. I've been a fan for a long time, dude. I found you guys in the most I first when I saw your video, it was Coming For You was the first video I saw. And I remember watching it, and it starts off with you guys wearing ninja masks and playing some heavy music, which at first I was like, oh, well, I'm into ninjas. This is cool. But I hope it doesn't, stay down that. I hope that's not the whole video. Yeah. And absolutely, within like seconds, you guys break into Cuban like salsa music, which is what I grew up with. Yeah. As a Latino boy in Miami. That's what I grew up with. And so I wanted to ask you, I've always wanted to ask you, like, guys from Australia, what's up? What's up? How do you know Cuban shit? What's up?
I think, well, I mean, yeah, it was at the time, or just before we formed, thanks to Raikuda, Buena Vista Social Club, man. Ibram Ferreira. And it really took off here, interestingly enough. And yeah, I loved that album, and so did Stevic, our guitarist, and that kind of influenced it, really. But I think Stevic did a bit more of a deep dive into Latin music in general. But just to get some authenticity and make sure we were doing it right. But yeah, I think that's really where it was at for us. It was Buena Vista Social Club, and that documentary, man, that was eye-opening. Such a great bunch of players, and that we'd never heard of before, and a style of music that, of course, wasn't really in the mainstream, and we would have had to have dug into record shelves to find it. So yeah, I think really that's where it came from.
Okay. Yeah. Immediately I connected with that, and I was just like, ooh, salsa, ooh, and Buena Vista Social Club, like you said, it's, that's my, if I'm ever in a hotel by myself and I have a few hours to chill out, I'll usually turn that on, blast it, and like light a cigar and like just hang on the balcony in a robe. Yeah. That's what you got to do. And that
absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, you guys, so became a fan there, but I've been following the entire time. I'm very excited about all this new content. You guys are putting out a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a little freaked out. Like, you got a full-fledged Game of Thrones looking book. Like, it's huge, 600 pages.
Yeah.
The Vern and the Wolf. Am I saying Vern right?
The Wyvern, I think it is.
Wyvern. Right. I'm sorry, I'm cute. I don't know.
It's fine.
And the dragon.
You don't get wyverns over there. They're not common.
Yeah, no. We only have dragons. It's like alligators and crocodiles. We get dragons. You guys call them wyverns, whatever.
Yeah.
So you have that. You have a graphic novel. You've got the new album, obviously, Vengeance. Yes. The game. Like, there's so much stuff. So, how long have you been working on this? Because it sounds like forever.
Well, yeah. I mean, it pretty much has been. I think Stevic had the idea of basically building a multimedia band. And this was before we all came together, and he'd had sort of ideas about arcing into comics and animation and, you know, all of those things. And I think it just came from just brainstorming ideas. What could I do that's different? And luckily enough, we had a goofy enough name to kind of, you know, the whole ninja thing kind of, I think, drove the seed or, you know, if you will, of the story. So Stevik had basically written a story about a 12-foot ninja who, basically just fights off a whole heap of evil tyrants, and that was kind of where it started. And okay. You know, he'd been reading the Celestine prophecy, so each tyrant sort of represented one of the 4 elements of the Celestine prophecy, and that's kind of where it started. And his partner, Fiona, was also in on it as well, and they were kind of just brainstorming ideas. And I remember sort of coming into the band, and you know, Stevik had told me about it and said, we're going to expand this into a story. And it kind of blew my mind, because, you know, the only thing that was even remotely close to that was Gorillas at the time. But I thought this could be something really unique and special. So it went through a lot of different permutations. Initially, there was going to be like a 3D animation thing happening. That didn't really work out very well. Then, you know, over the years, Stevik put together a pitch Bible of the story concept, where it could go, what he wanted to do with it. And yeah, it was kind of left open. And then we had a fan from Mexico, Keith Draws, get in touch with us, and really good artist. And he was inspired by the music. And he ended up doing our first comic, The Silent Machine comic. So he'd based the comic on the lyrics from Silent Machine, our debut album. And which kind of, you know, it put the stories that you know, were weaved through the songs on paper. And I think that's when it started to make sense, and it was realized, you know, it was like, yeah, this can be more than just the music. So I think Stevik just went with it, and ended up talking to a really good friend of his, Nick Snelling, who is, you know, who was a budding author at the time. He's now an author, budding author at the time, and he wanted to take it on. So I think the book has been in the works, I believe, for about 4 or 5 years, I think. And yeah, it's sort of the whole genesis story of, you know, the 12-foot ninja Kiyoshi, and, you know, his background, you know, predating the 12-foot ninja. And then, well, his metamorphosis into the 12-foot ninja. Stevik decided that he wanted to kind of really solidify the 12-foot ninja's sort of now story. So how he becomes the 12-foot ninja. And he decided that a good way to do that would be to continue on from the comic and do a graphic novel. So you've got Vengeance, the graphic novel as well. So I think this has been a really long time coming, and I think it's just kind of actualizing it and physicalizing it into something, you know, tangible and readable and malleable.
Well, it's not like you didn't. It's not like you didn't have time now to think about it, since
absolutely
the world is at a standstill.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, well, now it seems to be. I don't know, man. Like I want to get excited because I'm like, oh, tours, and then I'm like, well, but it's probably gonna get canceled again.
Yeah, I know, man.
At this point.
I know.
But yeah, it gave you time. I mean, it gives you time to think about these things, to get to that level, because, you know, I'm sure there's a number of bands that have like concepts, and then, you know, there's just no time between tour cycles and putting it out in press or whatever. Like, it's hard to find the time to, all right, now we're going to focus on the graphic novel. We're going to focus on the game and get it done. Yeah. So that, well, that's great. So I think that it's interesting. I appreciate that you're going to give the backstory, because there's certain like animes that I've seen that, like, for example, since we're talking about giants, Attack on Titan, where I started watching that and I got upset because I watched numerous episodes and there's no explanation as to why there are giants.
Yep.
It's just there are giants and they're gonna eat you. So I'm glad that you guys are giving the story. I appreciate backstory up front so that I can appreciate what's the album. So do you think if somebody is coming in cold for 12 Foot Ninja, like they've never heard the band before, would this encompass? Is this have you guys found the one masterpiece that is the voice of the band? And because every band has it, they have numerous records building up to this one that's like whoa, and then maybe they follow up with a second one that's just as good or crazy, but then then they get back into a different groove where they start exploring different things. Happens to every band. It's not it's not a bad thing. So would you say this is a pinnacle for you guys?
I would say as a piece of art, it's the next evolution. It's the next step. Yeah, it's definitely the next step. We had to go there. I think the nature of our band is exploration and trying on new things and trying out different styles and just how far can we push this thing? Where can we go? So it is definitely the next logical step in our evolution. As far as it being the pinnacle, it's very difficult to say that when you're in it.
While it's happening.
Yeah. And I mean, we pretty much had the album wrapped up at the end of 2019. And we made some additions to it sort of over 2020, the year that was. And
the year that was.
With those additions, it's made it even better. It's elevated things, which is great. And it was good that we had the luxury of time to do that. But we've been sitting on this thing for a while. We've been gestating on these songs for even longer. So you kind of get to a point where you realize it's like you have no objective or subjective view of it anymore.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's kind of... You're looking at it from you can't even be an outsider anymore. It's strange. It's it's a really odd sort of relationship to have with a piece of work. But the exciting thing for me is that I don't have to decide whether or not it's good.
The public will do that for you.
Exactly, right? And I like that. My relationship with it has come to a point where someone else's relationship begins. So now I can enjoy that. And now I can revel in someone having an experience with this and which songs do they connect with and what do they resonate with the most? And I'm sure, once we do actually get to play these live, people are going to tell us, that song had an impact on me, like they have in the past. So I'm looking forward to that. It's very, very difficult to know whether or not we're sitting on a masterpiece.
Gotcha.
And I mean, it could be to some people, they might hear this and it blows their minds and they think it's the most cutting edge, innovative album they've ever heard. And then some other guy listens to it and just goes, meh. I was expecting a heavier album, or whatever.
We needed more screaming.
They needed more Latin. They needed more reggae. Where's the reggae gone? Where's the, where's the bass? I've heard that a lot. I think we've because,
well, you guys murdered your bass player.
We murdered him, yeah. And
it's part of the story. I mean, you guys have to read the book and the comic.
You'll come to spoiler alert. Yeah, but I mean, it's funny because, we ended up doing a little promo tour in 2019, just in June in Europe, and we didn't have a bass player. We just had bass in the backing track. And it was great. It was fine. It worked. It's having that extra member is always good. Having bass on stage is great, but we noticed that it didn't make a massive impact. But the interesting thing was it had an impact on the audience. So because
I'm highly offended
player,
as a bass player. I am highly offended that you're saying that we're just replaceable. You can just play a track.
Mate, the truth is anyone's replaceable. I mean, let's face it. Anyone.
Don't say those words. That's offensive. I'm literally shaking right now. How can you say I don't matter?
Mate, you should see what I'm seeing from the future. I mean, bands.
That's right. I mean, you've already seen the next Capitol raid here in America in the news.
The next one, the Civil War.
Yeah, it's like the Purge. It's happening every year now. It's just part of our lives. It's like WrestleMania.
We're just Civil War 2021.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for 2022.
God, brought to you by Corn Nuts.
I would watch that. I would get the popcorn out. I would watch.
I mean, you will. Don't worry.
It would be nail biting, but it'd be thrilling. It was interesting the impact that not having a bass player had on the audience, because there were people that were claiming that there was no bass in the mix. And there was clearly bass in the mix, but they're like, "There's no bass player. There's no bass. What?" I've seen a couple of comments recently on the initial songs we put out, and there are a couple of people out there that are convinced because there's no bass player, there's no bass in the mix, and they can't hear bass. So we've basically released "And Justice for All" Part 2. Sans bass. There's no bass in the mix, which is fascinating.
You've evolved. The band has evolved into Metallica, which is every band's goal in life is to eventually
we've cancelled bass. That's right.
Fuck! Yeah. Now I'm gonna have to go back and because I didn't get any of that. I heard bass, but
there's bass. There's bass in there.
But now I want to go back and listen to it with a more critical eye.
Oh, here we go.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, I heard I saw the video for Long Way Home, and I hope you don't take offense to this, but I mean, strong bungle vibes.
Yeah.
Oh my God! But in a good way, not in these guys are ripping off bungle, but just more like, wow, this is.
We're not ripping them off. We're kind of sitting on there, but. No, look, it is definitely homage. They had such a massive impact, especially on Stevic and myself as teenagers. Massive impact. Patton in general had a massive impact, but them as a collective, Trace Bruins, Trey Dunn, massive influence on us. So I guess it leaks out of you. It's like we've imbibed that stuff for so long that it kind of seeps out of the pores. Yeah. And especially for Stevic, I think Stevic had a riff idea and had thought, what if I put horns to this? And, those little bat. Yeah. And it ended up sort of sounding like bungle. And yeah, I mean, it's hard not to have those things leak in to what you're doing, especially when they've had such an impact on you. It's the same with Meshuggah. Meshuggah had a massive impact on us, and they're my favorite band. I think they will be my favorite band of all time. But their tonality, their sense of rhythm is just out of this world, and so those things leak out.
Yeah, but that's fine. Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, and that's what helps me connect to other bands. Like, it's more, I hear Meshuggah in that, and I like Meshuggah, so cool. Like, it's not, a lot of people get, trying to get that elitist mentality. Like, hear Meshuggah.
Yeah,
it's too much like it.
It works two ways. It's we've had a lot of people say, sounds like Faith No More with Meshuggah mixed in. Great. Others have said,
cool.
Sounds
That's
like
what we were going for.
Sounds like Faith No More.
Sounds like a terrible band, huh?
Yeah, and it's like, okay,
so
cool.
Bad.
You don't have to listen to it.
There's that too, man. Fuck them.
And I've copped a lot of pattern comparisons over the years, and I think it's primarily because I'm baritone. He's got an insane range, but like he's the foundations of his voice is a baritone. So I think tonally there's something similar, but it's, you know, if you A-B our voices, they're totally different. I just like to play with my vowel sounds in a similar way. You know, I've got influences like Joe Jackson, Elvis Costello, guys that loved playing with their vowel sounds. I don't necessarily know where Mike Patton's came from, but it could be punk. It could have been, you know, because there was a lot of that stuff coming out of England, you know, playing with vowel structures. And so, interestingly enough, I kind of get put into that bag. He's trying to rip off Mike Patton, but there's so many other influences there. There's so many others, like, and they wouldn't know that. They wouldn't know that. They wouldn't know it if they heard it, but because their Patton is synonymous with twisting his vowel shapes. I get put in that bag, you know.
Yeah, I honestly don't even like that. Wasn't even the element that made me think of Bungo. It wasn't your vocals.
No.
Like your vocals are very unique to me. I also enjoy. You're one of the few vocalists that I enjoy singing along with too. I feel that it you know, I can hit those notes that you're hitting. I used to sing in a group as well, so I have my own voice, but there's certain things like I test myself to hit, you know, like, oh, let's go really high. Let's listen to some Circus Survive and see if I can hit those notes.
Yeah, man.
But I can't. And so, but when I play
try,
music, it's worth a shot. See what happens, and to make a fool out of myself. Thankfully, I'm not, you know, we're not at the point where everything is live streaming. But soon, I think soon we'll get to Truman Show.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We're pretty much almost there.
Almost there.
But yeah, it's hard for people to process new data without first referencing old data. I think that's really what it's about. They need to kind of categorize you so they have some maybe sense of recognition or identification or something like that. The only way they can identify it is to say it's like this and I like this, so therefore I like that.
Right.
And we've had a lot of that over the years. I mean, when I think it was either our first EP, New Dawn, or our second one, Smoke Bomb. And someone in the comments thread, and it was a serious comment because I followed it up and went, you can't be serious. But some guy had said, oh, it reminds me of Manowar. And I'm like, Manowar? What? You know, and immediately when you say that name, you know, you see these barbarian looking buff dudes, you know, I'm like, what about this is muscular? What about this is Manowar? But to someone, it triggered, they must have heard a riff or something that reminded them of it, and that's what it was for them. And that's the box they needed to put us in to think it was good.
Yeah, whatever box it takes, right? I mean,
exactly.
I just want you to enjoy it.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what part of it you enjoy; just enjoy it.
If you think we sound like Duran Duran, it's all the same. Like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I recently had Uncle Al from Ministry on the show.
Awesome.
And somebody left a comment with like, "Oh, I can't believe this is the same band," and it was a video of early Ministry where it was new wave.
Yeah.
And like this shitty new wave stuff, and I'm like, I actually loved that.
They were amazing back then, man.
What are you talking about? New wave's awesome. Yeah. People, it's interesting that, you know, I was having this conversation the other day that I believe, and I can't say it, like I can't post about it on the internet. I can talk to you about it here, but it's more of, I don't think everyone should have the ability to post stuff on the internet.
Do you think you've got to apply for a license?
Yeah. Look, everyone should have access to the internet. You could access everything that's on the internet. However, not all of you need to be posting stuff, okay? Because it's bad.
I kind of agree with that.
It's damaging, man. Like, my father messaged me the other day with a video of some dude in the middle of nowhere and a truck, and he opens up a valve and it's pouring out this black liquid. And he goes, well, I got a letter from the Department of Agricultural, whatever the hell, and they told me I needed to dump all this oil so I can balance the oil prices for the gases, you know, for the gas price. And they told me I was going to get a fine if I didn't do this. And my father sent me this video. He's like, what's happening in America? I can't, because he doesn't live here. He lives in Mexico. And he's like, oh, you need to get out of there. I'm like,
people just dumping petrol.
I'm like, hey, listen, that's not gas or oil.
Yeah.
That's actually tar.
Yeah.
That they spray on asphalt.
Yeah.
And this is a hoax. on TikTok.
Yeah.
And he was about ready to lose his mind. And my dad, thankfully he's a sensible human. He was like, "Oh, damn, it was a hoax."
Yeah.
But you know how many people watched that video and get our guns, let's go. We need to stop this. Like, so dude. It's dangerous. And I don't really, I know it sounds like dictatorish or whatever, but I really don't think everyone should have access to post stuff on the internet. It should be hard like it was back in the day.
I totally agree. Influencers, there should be an influence check that you've got to get a license to be an influencer. You actually have to do something with your life in order to qualify.
Exactly. Have some
There's too many people telling you how to live your life who, I mean, Stevic says it really well,
I wouldn't approve his application, by the way.
Yeah, right. I wouldn't either. But it's like, what was it? It was like, people being so rich that they become Buddhist. They don't have anything to worry about. That they're Buddhist. And so it's easy when you're sheltered and you don't have to worry about where rent money's coming from.
Exactly.
To sit on Instagram and tell everyone else, just be one with with the vibes and the positive energy and stick a yoni egg up your butthole and just align your chakras.
The new one is the new one is to suntan your butthole. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have seen that. Sun your butthole.
It's a new thing. I've seen
the sun in. Let the sun in.
These yoga dudes, these like ripped dudes with ponytails are just up in the park with their legs in the air. Like just get, because your butthole is where you get, like that's why they do suppositories. It hits your system faster. So the rays from the sun, you get the mana from the planet faster through your asshole than you do from
through your crown chakra. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a literal hole. It's a literal hole.
Yeah, it's just waiting to
soak up. That's unbelievable, isn't it? Far out,
this is why I don't think everyone should.
Here
have
we
access
are, the apex of evolution, and this is what we've become. But I mean,
we have access to everything.
I do agree to a degree about having a license to post. Yes. Because, I mean, the way I see it, the internet has kind of become the new, talkback radio.
Yeah.
But, now it's like people can pretty much say anything, and which is fine. I'm all for freedom of speech, but that even if they're talking shit, even if it's a lie, it can gain momentum and gravity. I mean, just look at what happened over there with the last. Over the last 4 years. I don't want to say too much about it because I'm not overtly political, but
yeah, stuff happened.
The misinformation, man, like Jesus. And the thing I felt for people that had fallen into that trap that like, the child molesting Satanists and all that stuff, because they really genuinely believed it was a thing and they really cared. They really cared, and it meant something, and they wanted to change it, and they wanted to fix it, and they didn't want to live in a world where that was a thing.
Yeah,
even though it isn't a thing. There's varying degrees of it, yes, but not to the way it was kind of conflated, and that was scary because it completely controlled people's lives. I was watching this thing recently. I don't know if you were aware of the channel All Gas No Breaks.
No, I haven't heard it.
They're amazing channel. They don't exist as that anymore. They were kind of bought out, and then the people that bought them wanted to change everything, so they started a new channel called Channel 5 News, I think it's called. And it's brilliant. They go out and just interview people, but they've been to all White Lives Matter rallies and White Lives Matter rallies and stuff like that, and just they just let people talk, and fascinating the stuff you hear. They've done some great videos, but the recent one they went to a QAnon conference.
They're still happening? I thought they're all their.
Well, it's like it's all fallen out, but I think this was recorded earlier this year.
I was going to say that all of their predictions failed. So what happened?
Exactly. Well, none of them want to associate with QAnon anymore. They were all saying, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what that is."
Right.
But it was sad. There were some really sad stories in there. There was, a woman that was saying that she watched a video, and the video said that Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton, all those guys were blood stealing, infantile blood stealing Satanists, and that was it. That was all she needed. And she went to her family and said, "Hey, this is happening," and the family went, "You're nuts," and turned their back on her. And you could just see it in underneath that face. You could see that pain and that abandonment and shame, but she was sticking to the narrative that
it's a drug. The feeling of this weird feeling of like, I have this information and no one's listening to me.
Yeah.
Like, how can you not listen to me? Like, it's a drug in your brain that makes
really
you feel like, I know something and you don't, and I need to help you. Like, I get it. It's a good-hearted, process. Like, you have good intentions. You want to help people.
Yes,
but it's
absolutely.
just bad information.
Yeah, absolutely. And
we have a visitor.
I've got a 2-year-old. We've got a visitor.
Hello. Hi.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
All right. Go to mum. Go to mummy. Go on. Go on. So. Go on. Oh, here we go.
She wants to be interviewed too.
She wants to be interviewed as well.
She needs.
I have thoughts and feelings too.
I'm starting to use these badges on Instagram. Let's go.
Hi, darling. We're live. We're recording. It's cool.
Hello.
Yay.
It's okay. Same thing happened with Ben Weinman of the Dillinger Escape Plan. We were talking, and his kid just like kept zooming by and interrupted with a fart, which I thought was epic.
Excellent.
Was great.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
So I guess I'll take that as a sign from the universe that we were getting too serious.
Maybe too serious. Yes.
Too serious.
Let's just leave that where it is.
Back away. So do you meditate often?
Not so much anymore. I meditated for years, and sort of pursued that quite a lot. I was also a stoner back then too, and so those two things went hand in hand. But I learned a lot about Eastern philosophy, and I sort of went down that path for a while. And
did you do any crazy travel trips to explore that?
I was going to go to the Himalayan steppe. I wanted to go to northern India and sort of trek up to, where I believed the good stuff was.
Oh, okay.
And I kind of got sucked into that stuff for a while,
Same.
Yeah. I was writing to the Theosophical Society and reading books about, Godfrey Ray King and Baird T. Spalding and, I guess I was susceptible to it because I was a stoner. So,
sure.
I'm reading about, ascended masters and all that. So we got into that kind of
many
area.
lives, many masters,
all that stuff. And it was cool. Like it opened me to a lot of, sort of unconventional philosophy and also some really good grounded life, stuff like, what people think of you is none of your business, that sort of stuff.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I kind of went down that rabbit hole for a while and extrapolated what I needed from it. And then I stopped smoking and then I lost interest. So I do quite a bit of contemplation. So if I have, a conundrum, if there's something, that I'm kind of ruminating on that, I can't quite get my head around, I'll sit with it for a while and just contemplate and visualize it almost like a mind map and kind of explore it. And, and that also includes reading about said thing or, watching YouTube videos or whatever. It's kind of all part of that thing. But yeah, I don't specifically sit down and kind of, do transcendental meditation anymore.
Have you ever achieved an out-of-body experience?
I did actually, and yeah, I mean, I've had a few of those types of experiences. I tried astral traveling when I was like 17 and had some really interesting experiences with that. Whether or not I think what's interesting is that you've got subjective and objective reality, and those kind of experiences kind of sit somewhere in between, and it's difficult. You kind of go, is this the marijuana, or is this
Is this
a dream? Is it is it really happening? And at the time, it was really happening. But now I kind of look at it as more like a lucid dream, I guess. And yeah, I had some interesting experiences with that. But the one experience that I had where I felt like I'd not left my body, it's more like my body left the moment. I can't really describe it any other way. And it was actually playing with the band, and we were doing a show, and this was years and years ago. I think it was like 2014. And yeah, it was unusual. It was like I'm singing a song. I think it was Kingdom. And all of a sudden it was like there was no one on stage. There was no one in the audience. It was just I was in this like negative space. Everything had stopped. I couldn't hear any sound. I wasn't singing anymore. It was just me in this space. And I remember observing it, and it felt like it stretched out for quite a while, like minutes. And minutes can feel like a really long time.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boom, there I am. I'm in the song, and I'm back on stage, and I'm like, whoa, what was that? Did I have a stroke?
Yeah.
Did I have a stroke? Which is possible. Who knows? Maybe it was. But I remember getting back into the green room, backstage after the show, and it just stayed with me, that feeling. And it was this real like lightness of being. And what started sort of coming up for me were, old stories that I used to hear from the jazz greats, that when, they'd get into an improvisation together and they'd get into that flow. Yeah. But all of a sudden, the outside world just disappears, and they're in this space together where it's just like there's nothing else in existence but the sound, but the music. And that's how it felt. I could only liken it to that. And, maybe it wasn't as deep as that, but that's the closest I've come, really. It wasn't quite out of body. It was just kind of out of now. It was out of reality for a while. That's really stuck with me. It really stuck with me.
It's such an intriguing thing because it's not unique. It's not a unique feeling. There's a number of people that have experienced what you're saying, and even myself. Like my first experience with something like that was during a very deadly car accident where I was involved and I died, and I saw some stuff, and then they brought me back in a helicopter and whatnot. And then the only thing, I went and I started doing the traveling. That's why I was asking. Like I went to Peru and did the Machu Picchu thing and did the Inca Trail all the way up. And I'm going to find something there for sure.
Yeah.
I was planning a trip out to Egypt because there's stuff there too, and I just trying to figure out what I saw while I was under. And then the only other feeling the only other time I felt the same way was when I started playing in a band, and I would perform in front of an audience, and there's those moments, like you said, it's a particular song or something in the set where boom, you just like you're having a moment. And so that to me it was the closest I've ever gotten to that moment in time when I was out of my body dead.
Yeah.
And I think that since there are so many experiences that people have, I've seen articles and stories and people that share this kind of same exact out of the world, out of your body, out of your mind experience, we should probably look into that. No?
Yeah. I agree.
I feel like we should be having a lot of doctors trying to figure out what that is.
Yes.
Like where are we going? What happened? Is it really the Marvel universe is talking about with their parallel universes and all this stuff, the multiverse? Is it the stuff from the Celestine prophecy, like you mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
Were the Mayans right that the world end? Are we all already dead?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we probably are. We're probably in the afterlife now. I mean, who knows?
I mean, this is pretty heavenly, right? We're talking to each other, communicating across the globe.
Exactly. Here I am in my home. I've got no pants on. I'm talking to Eddie over the internet.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, we should be looking into that. I think a lot of people are looking into that. There's, I've heard of, neuroscience is kind of moving now towards consciousness and the study of consciousness. And I know there are physics geniuses that are looking
quantum
into
physics.
that are looking into vibration and they know that there are multiple dimensions that it correlates with rate of vibration, or octaves, as they call it, octaves. And there's a really good chance that they call this the third dimension. So obviously it's a material one, but who knows what lies beyond that? People have claimed to have reached into the fourth and fifth dimension and have seen it in a life-death experience. There's got to be some levity to it. There's got to be something to that, definitely.
The general populace in Australia, are they more into these kind of ideas? What is it that's kind of controlling the crowd? Because obviously you can see it on the news and in YouTube. In America, we're still heavily dominated by the religious Catholic Christian stuff, which doesn't lend itself to any of these ideas we're talking about.
I don't think Australia's as religious as it was, say, 20 years ago.
Right.
I think people generally have kind of, well, I mean, I guess I can only go from all of the people that I know. Right. I do know some religious people, but it's not that kind of go to church every day. Not every day, but every Sunday,
every Sunday
kind of thing. They're not God-fearing Christians or anything, and they're very open people to other influences and Eastern ideas and other religions, and but atheism is taking over in Australia in a really big way. But most of the people I know are agnostic, so they're open to the idea that there's something, because most of them have had an experience with it. But yeah, then they're not necessarily kind of into the Abrahamic pillars of faith, where it's all just dogmatic and
I mean, it's on our money, so
yeah, and I mean that
trust.
stuff was so that was the QAnon of that time. Like I mean, you're talking about scripture that was written about a magical man 400 years after the fact. That sort of stuff. It's kind of like, well, why?
By some dude.
Why are we even talking about this?
By some person, some human decided to write their version of it.
Yeah, and it's a Marvel comic. I mean, some guy went, you know what? It'd be good. I reckon we cast this Middle Eastern guy as this magician, sorcerer.
He walks on water.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, the Mandate of Rome sort of just connected with that story, with that narrative, in a really big way, and if anyone really pushed that story, it was Rome. Rome had a lot to gain out of disseminating that information about this mystery man that was the Son of God. So I think there's something, I the experience I had, I kind of felt like I'd experienced it's not, I think God is such a dogmatic term, and I don't like using it.
Right.
There is
we use it often, right? With the, oh my God.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
Jesus. Yeah.
I flipped Jesus out
man.
It's going out of fashion, but a lot of Australians do. Oh, Jesus. And he appears. Yes, my son.
Here in Southern California, it's more Jesus, and
Jesus. Yeah, absolutely.
he's selling tacos in the corner. And I'm not being racist. I know a Jesus that has a food truck in the corner.
He works miracles with those things,
dude.
So, yeah, I think there's something to all of that. I think we've got to get rid of the myths, though. I think we've got to get rid of the comic adaptations of these ideas. We've got to stop humanizing it. It's like, kind of reminds me of, when Disney kind of humanize animals or vehicles, or, we want things to have a human shape and a human face so we can identify with it. So the whole construct of God created us in his image. So people go, oh, he looks like me. Yeah. It's like, no, he doesn't look anything like you, Brad,
I can be God. But I can be God too.
It's a he, that it's even a he, she, and that's a thing. Like,
right. Yeah, that there's even a gender assigned to a God.
Yeah, I think it's an open book, and I don't think we should be ascribing anything to it. If anything, we should just be getting on with things, and
do something.
Being present in our lives, and garnering as much joy as we can from that. And being comfortable with the idea that that's enough.
Yeah.
I used to say to people, and it's now become a trope, but when I was younger, I used to say to people, because they go, oh, I consider myself very spiritual. No. And I go, look, yeah, I get that, but there's a difference between a human trying to be spiritual and a spirit learning what it is to be human. And I think I'm the latter. I think we're all energy.
Have you read Bob Frizzell's books?
Oh yeah, man.
That's okay. I was going to say that's one of his books.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and I definitely think there's a lot of weight to that we're vibration and energy, and we're made of star stuff. And Carl Sagan and all those dudes were pointing in the right direction as well. You don't have to be a spiritualist to see any of that. Right. But I think we've got to stop putting limits on it and just learn what it is to be good, peace-loving human beings. I think that's godly. If we could all, and it's very hippie of me to say this, but if we all accepted each other for what we were, like truly did, in like you can have that and that's cool. You can think that way and that's okay. Good luck with that. I hope that leads you to joy or leads you to love or whatever. If we can be like that with each other, that sounds godly to me.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need this grandiose, like, the hand of God that created it's like, well,
you must do confession and kneel and it's the same in like Santeria. Like, they have all their different traditions and rituals that they do. Like, it's all leading to the same place. Every one of them is just there's different tools and devices and rules in place. And if, like you said, if you could just let go of that and just treat people with respect and
exactly. I think, look, there's moral basis to all of these things, of course, and there's ethics as well. But I don't necessarily believe that you need a scripture to tell you that it's not cool to kill people.
Right.
and I think really what brings those people together, even though they would say the church is the glue or God is the glue that brings people together, it's actually just the sense of community.
Yeah, it's people.
It's that they share similar fears and similar troubles and similar stresses and similar grief, and they can come together in that and not be ashamed of their life. Yeah. And I think that's where it's at. I think
instead of thinking of God as the glue that's keeping the humans together, we should be the humans that are glued together to make God.
To make God. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
And hence why I think, all of those experiences that people have where they kind of transcend reality or kind of are removed from it or whatever, are, I think, relative to the human condition more than they are relative to some hidden spiritual narrative. I think what lies beyond is more about, it's like, what more can I be? Not, what's out there in the cosmos. It's like, how deep does this go?
Yeah.
How grand can I be as a human being? How loving can I be? How open can I be? How compassionate, empathetic, like all of those things.
Learn, be open to learning more things from everywhere. Go to travel.
Just growth, you know?
Yeah. So speaking of traveling and learning and growing, and so are you guys on tour? It's just happening? Like, are you guys gonna?
Well, that's the golden question. I mean, we are. We're hoping to. We're scheduled for a few shows in October in Australia, just to kind of kick things off and get back into the groove. Because
is the Delta thing a big deal in Australia? Are you guys worried about that? It's become
so, yeah. Like, our governments are pretty intense, man. They just, as soon as they get a sniff of it, we're locking down. We were put into a lockdown on Thursday night. It's now Saturday.
Jeez. So it worked for you guys the first time. I remember hearing that Australia and New Zealand were both like kind of clear before anybody else.
Yeah, I mean we were cutting edge that way, and we're trailing the world with vaccine rollout at the moment.
Okay,
but and hence why they're doing the lockdown strategy, because not enough people have had the jab, and so it just is what it is. It's hurting a lot of people because businesses can't pay their overheads. There's not really a moratorium on rent, or so. Yeah, it's crushing a lot of people in the same way that it's saving a lot of lives too. And it's that whole, what's more important, the economy or human lives? And it's now divided a lot of people to where they're like, well, it doesn't matter if a few people die so long as I can keep running my lawnmower business. And, and then the other guys are like, no, we've got to do this because one life lost is too many.
Yes, that's way too many.
Yeah,
I don't understand how it's okay for life to be lost, but that's
exactly.
Yeah,
it doesn't. It's not even a question, But yeah, I mean, they're just in my own opinion. I can't speak for anyone else, and I'll probably draw a bit of ire from people for saying this, but I think the government are just doing what they think is right, and we've just got to go with that. Just roll with that.
It's so much more interesting to think that they are lizards that are eating babies, though, and that are doing this to control us and put microchips in us.
Regular Joe that wipes his ass every day.
Come on. We're a world spoiled by entertainment. Everybody's got Netflix and Hulu and Paramount Plus and Disney Plus and everything under the fucking rainbow. So, it's far more interesting. That's what they need. They need to say, it needs to be interesting. It needs to be a fucking Fast and the Furious situation. Like, the government doesn't care. They don't care that you have a microchip. Like, they're not going to spend money on you to put microchips in you.
That sounds like a lot of overheads, a lot of maintenance.
To watch you jerk off to anime, like, no one cares. Like,
but people, you don't have to go very far to watch people jerk off.
Right. I mean, just right here in the palm of your hand.
Exactly, man.
Did you hear it? Chat roulette, chatterbait. What is it? Chat roulette.
Yeah, chatterbait.
Oh my God.
I went on that one night with a mate just to see what would come up. Far out. But anyway.
I'm glad it went to Chatterbait from Chat Roulette, because Chat Roulette came out with innocently enough to just connect human beings to each other, but then it quickly became everybody's jerking off. And then they were just like, fuck it, well, let's just switch it to Chatterbait. And
you just stumble on a page and some dude's just sitting there.
Sup?
How you doing? Yeah, I'm all right. How are you? Quick. Far out. But yeah, you don't have to go far to watch people jack off. And like, I find it, that kind of sense of self-importance that you're, I think, and this harps back to what we were talking about before, there's an empowerment in thinking that you're the one, that you're the chosen one, that you're bloody Neo in the Matrix, and you can see through the Matrix, but no one else can see it.
Got the information. That's where alien abductions come from in Alabama, the plotting. They chose me for anal sex.
Take me with you.
Take me, please. Don't leave me here in Arkansas. I'll
take the probing. I don't care. I don't want to be here. you know, I find that stuff fascinating, that there's this real sense of self-importance, that you are so awake that the government need to be tracking what you're doing all the time. Like, what are you doing? You're taking selfies, and you're
and you're eating, and I can see your food, and you're at the gym.
And you're at the gym, and look at my butt. I've been really working on my squats, and look at my butt. And, you know.
I've chosen this pandemic to make a better me. I have a bigger. I'm building muscle in the glutes.
Yep.
No, man, I get it. Yeah, I get it.
But
Look, me too.
That's all insecurity, you know.
Yeah.
That's people that don't feel they're enough when you strip them down of all of that. I heard a quote, and I don't know who this is attributed to, but someone said, "You only know people when they're at their lowest, you know, when they've got nothing. That's when the real person, you know, comes out." And I think what's dangerous about all that stuff is that there's an identification with it. So with their online presence is who they are. I've seen it in musicians, you know, that will say obnoxious things like, "I am the music." Oh, Jesus, you're the music, are you? Oh, good,
Okay,
good. Nice to meet you, music.
Thanks for letting me play you.
Yeah, it's not enough to just be you. That you've got to inflate yourself into this godlike kind of, "I am more important than you even realize." You know?
Right.
And it's like, well, I don't care how important you are. You're important,
that's
that you're breathing and you're here, and hopefully you're living a good life, because that stuff's infectious, and hopefully you know, you care about people, and you've helped people, and you know, you're there for people when they need you, and you're an ear when they need to talk. And anything beyond that is just a Marvel comic. Is, look at me, I'm actually, you haven't seen this of me, but I'm actually Superman. I don't know if you know this about me.
I've been hiding it with my glasses this whole time.
Exactly.
You have no idea.
When no one's looking, I go through car parks and I collect all the trolleys and I put them all back into the trolley bay. You know, just that's my service. It's the least I could do.
Right.
Yeah, it's a weird time we're living in, Eddie. Like,
yeah.
And every time I see that, rather than it kind of drawing my ire, like, of course you look at it and you're like, "Oh my God, really? Am I looking at this?" But it's more, I don't get sad about it, but I kind of go, "Oh man,
it's disappointing.
What a bugger." What a bugger that you need all of this to feel good about yourself, and
insulting someone, putting them down because it makes you feel better because, you know, Dad did that to you when you were younger.
Yeah, and you can't. You have to be a product of what other people think you are, and you know, that's a slippery slope. It kind of means that you're at the mercy of other people's opinions of you. That the world shapes you, and that you're not in control. You know, it's kind of, I've been talking to students about this whole "you make me feel" culture that we're a part of, where it's like that boundary between where I end and someone else begins is kind of blurred from that. "You made me feel, you know, it's really sad when you said that." It's like, well, I can't give you a feeling. I didn't give you a feeling. I just said something.
You reacted to it.
Yeah, it was your reaction was yours. Your response was yours. How you felt was your feeling. It wasn't, you know, I'm not Milhouse's dad. I can't borrow a feeling from you. I'm like, and I think it's interesting because a lot of people now sort of are definitely in that reactionary mode where it's like
that's what the whole cancel culture is. It's everybody reacting immediately to just like the first glimpse of something.
Absolutely.
Instead of actually analyzing it, trying to be like, you know, when I was growing up, it was more of the grow up. And so, okay, somebody comes and insults me in my face. When I was younger and dumber, my reaction was to punch him in the face. That was it. You know, when I was a little kid in high school, or not even high school, middle school, like 12 years old, you know, I grew up in New Jersey where it was a bunch of Italians and, you know, white people. And I was one of the few Cubans that was there. And I would get racial slurs thrown at me. And my reaction was always punch him in the face. That was it. as I grew up and became an adult, you learn that you shouldn't react that way.
Yeah.
Don't react in violence. That's bad. And that's just what I was taught. Don't react in violence. A lot of, martial arts helped with that discipline of like control your emotions.
Yes.
Learn to be an adult. Don't just punch someone in the face. That's bad. Yeah. So we kind of forgotten this mentality.
We have.
We're like, somebody, he's insulting me. Violence, punch him.
Yell,
like, no.
comments,
Yeah. Punch him with words even. It's just, you asshole, you're Neanderthal, whatever.
Yeah.
So we need I get it. People shouldn't be assholes. People shouldn't be using slurs, and we should hold them responsible for doing that. But at the same time, don't let it ruin your life. What are you doing?
There is a line. There's a line where you end and where they begin. And that line is the difference or the boundary between what's your responsibility and what's theirs. And sure, if you said something, because it's not always what's said, it's what's inferred.
Yeah.
And you are responsible for that, And yeah, if you've said something and it's ignorantly mean or cruel or whatever, then yeah, you've got to take responsibility for that, for being a dick, because the number one golden rule is don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. That's it.
So yeah, that is your responsibility. But how it triggers someone is theirs. So, I could say, hey, fuck you, buddy, to a friend, and he's like, fuck off, man, and it's like, and then I say it to another friend, I'm like, fuck off, man. He's like, hey, fuck you.
What the fuck?
What's up? Hey, we're friends, and so it's your reaction and response are yours, and no one is responsible for that. And I think that whole offense thing is fascinating, because rather than looking at why am I offended by that, why has it triggered me, and that feeling that it's triggered is mine. They go, that thing has given me the feeling of marginalization, or it's given me the feeling of being discriminated against, or it's given me the feeling. And what that means is that you are constantly at the mercy of everything else. Like everything else, or the people around you have ownership over your feelings.
Yep.
It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Yeah.
Same people that go and look for reviews online before not purchasing, but like watching a movie.
Yeah.
Oh, did it get good reviews? Well, I don't know. What are you into?
Yeah.
Like, why do I need to tell you what I thought? You probably like, aspects of it that I don't.
Absolutely. You only have to look at Uber Eats reviews for that sort of stuff, and you see like one guy's like, this pizza was the worst pizza I've ever had. And then Janet, the next one's like, the greatest pizza. I finally found the golden pizza. It's different strokes for different folks, and it's, we're dealing with subjective reality here. And, I think that sort of personal ownership or personal accountability is kind of slipping away from us. And I think, interestingly enough, I think there's a lot of commercial factors now manipulating that. There's a lot of, because that's how you get people to consume. If they're constantly looking at their Instagram feed and it's like, you need this skincare thing. You're not, buff enough. You need to go to the gym. You need this supplement. You need that. You're not enough.
You don't want to go to the gym because you're lazy? Buy this shirt. It hides your belly.
Get the thing that wobbles your legs. You put it on your legs and it burns calories while you sleep.
Hey, I've fallen victim to a couple of them.
Yeah.
A handful of them. It's...
My mum bought over this platform, right? That she'd seen on one of those
ads.
And it's like you stand on the platform and it wobbles you. It sends vibration through the body and you burn calories. And she gave it to me. She's like, here, this will be good for you. No.
It's like those remember the old timey, they would put like a belt around their waist.
My grandpa had one of those. Yeah. What are you doing? Oh, I'm loosening up all the fat around my midsection. Yeah. Oh, are you? Is that what you're doing?
Okay, I see.
Cool. I see how that works. But yeah, I think the modern sort of commercial consumer culture, it kind of feeds into that lack of self-identity. And what I'm noticing is people are seeking it in other ways. So now identity is hooked into your sexuality for some reason, where it's not, it's removed from just being a human being, because that's not enough, because Instagram's telling you constantly, you're not enough.
Right.
So now you've got to hook it into, the type of humans that you fuck. And it's strange, and your fetishes and all of that stuff, and that's not your identity. That's just what you do in the bedroom and your sexual preference. And I think things are starting to get a bit confused, simply because we're being kind of directed away from it. Because the more insecure we are about ourselves, the more we consume that fucking facial cream. That could be horse semen for all we know. That we need to, get that home gym, and we need to, invest in crypto, and we're not enough. We're not rich enough. We're not handsome enough. We're not tall enough. We're not, and I think we're humans. Of course, we're going to, I wish I was taller. Yeah, sure. But what am I going to, get that leg extension surgery to get that repaired? No, probably not. No. I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze there.
Now if we get to the point where there's affordable robot legs, count me in.
Yeah, oh yeah, man. Exoskeleton. Let's do it.
I'm all about it. I'm all about it.
Yeah, the stilts.
I'm gonna wrap this up, because we are falling down a rabbit hole, which I love, and deep. I could talk to you for hours about. I gotta tell you, man. Let me give you. I've been a fan. And you have been as cool as I thought you would be talking to you in person. Because,
likewise,
I meet a lot of people sometimes. I'm blessed that I get to meet a lot of musicians and a lot of, actors and whatever. But a lot of the times it's like they're cool, but it's kind of, there's like some weirdness there. There's some Hollywood to it. You're not
probably because they've got to promote something. It's like it's constantly. It was burning in the back of my mind for a little while, but I'm like, let go of that.
Oh yeah, we're here to talk about Vengeance, ladies and gentlemen. Vengeance tour happening now in Australia, UK, and Europe. You got books and graphic novels and shirts and videos and video games and all kinds of stuff.
And that's not who I am, Eddie. That's
not your identity.
I'm just a part of it. I am not the music. I think that's why, mate. They're just, it's there. It's going, you're supposed to be promoting a fucking album.
Oh, dude, are you talking about spirituality and
well, there you are.
Get it going.
Hopefully management I don't get a call from management. Why didn't you talk about the album?
You guys are just blabbing for hours. I do appreciate you taking time to hang out and talk to me, man. And I appreciate your PR folks putting us together so we can meet and talk about Vengeance.
Yes.
I'm really excited
for it.
I'm really excited for the record. I really am. I'm a big fan. Like I said, I've been a fan for a while. I identify highly with the fact that you guys are always experimenting and trying out new different sounds, and that's how I grew up, man. I'm Cuban. I listen to Spanish music. I listen to heavy metal, black metal, death metal, Norwegian metal, and also hip hop and whatever the hell I can get my hands on, reggae, and depends on the day. I'm just a multicultural, multidimensional human being. That's what you got to be.
Yeah, man. We're kindred spirits. There's no doubt.
Yeah. So, UK, Australia, Europe tour.
Yes.
I'm assuming eventually, hopefully, an American tour.
Yes.
US tour. Is there any band that you want to tour with? If you had your choice, which band are you touring with?
Man, that's a really good question. There's so many. I think, because you can answer that in many ways. It's like, who's the dream band?
Okay, give me two tours. One is the Dream Tour.
And one is the Practical Help the Band.
One is the Practical Help the Band Tour.
Okay, I'll start with the practical one. The Practical Help the Band tour, I think, would be the tour with another band that's of a similar ilk, but has managed to sort of really expand out further than we have, and that would have fans that I think would like what we do. That would probably be Between the Buried and Me.
Okay.
I would love to tour with them. I think they're amazing, and I think we could learn a lot from them, and yeah, I think our fan bases would be fairly aligned.
Yeah,
which would
I
be
think so.
really cool. I think you've got to be fairly open-minded for both of our bands.
Oh yeah.
So I think I think that would be mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
But the dream band, man, would definitely be. I reckon Meshuggah. I reckon it would.
No.
I mean, we'd just be like, we would be nervous every night, I reckon, playing with them. It's either that or Metallica or a big band, where it's just like, whoa,
Nickelback.
Yeah, Nickelback, man, get us on that tour right now.
Hell yeah! Confuse that audience, please.
As long as we're doing arenas, it doesn't matter who it is. You know, give us, I don't know, Post Malone. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I think BT Bam Bungle 12 Foot
Bungle would
Ninjas
be-
tour
dude,
package
Bungle
I would
would be-
pay for.
Bungle. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, because even BT Bam they have Bungle influences as well.
They certainly do.
Undeniable, you know.
yeah, they certainly do.
But I think that would be those three bands is a good package in my mind.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yes. Bungle.
I'll talk to Paul at BT Bam. We'll make it happen.
Oh, let's do that.
We'll make it happen. Put it out there in the universe. You use the secret. I'll carry a rock in my pocket, and we'll pray to this magnetic rock in my pocket every day. We'll make it happen.
Let's do that, mate. Awesome.
But
Put it out there
thank
to
you
the ether.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody that's watching and listening, if you enjoyed our conversation, pick up the album. Pick up all of the albums. They're all great. They're all fucking awesome. All of the videos are amazing. That's something I wanted to talk to you about. But we're like I said, we're running late. But all your videos are hilarious.
Yes.
You guys have these layers of comedy that I wanted to ask you where that comes from. Like why do you guys love comedy so much?
To say really quickly, that's all Stevik's brain, man.
Okay.
Like,
So what you're saying is I should have interviewed Stevik.
you probably should have. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Probably would have been a better.
I
interview.
had him on. He was a cockroach for most of it. He used one of those the transformation things from your video, and he was a cockroach while
He's
we
a
were
metamorph for sure.
talking. But please pick up the albums. Pick up the new album. Get
Please.
the books.
Do it.
Get involved. Explore.
Sink your teeth into it.
Yes. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it. And
You're
hopefully
so
when you
welcome.
guys come to America, we can meet up, hang out.
Yeah, let's do
and
that.
Get to meet. Yeah.
And we'll go see Jesus in his food truck and,
Oh,
yeah,
you're not prepared.
I'm not,
You are not prepared.
but I'm looking forward to it.
All right, brother. Take care. Have a good one, brother.
Cheers, man. You too.
Cheers.
Cheers.